I, as the leader of opposition, will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Today's motion is that this House would ban all production and consumption of meat. First, we, as the leader of opposition, strongly disagree with this motion. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take you to several facts about our species, the Homo sapiens. We began to become smarter and more capable species after we start eating meat, cooked meat. We became like who we are today because of meat. We have meat thanks to the intelligence and the capabilities of our brains. Also, because something is wrong doesn't mean that it is immoral. Ladies and gentlemen, smoking is wrong, but it is not immoral. Drinking is wrong, but it is not immoral. Same as eating meat. Perhaps you could argue that it is wrong, but it is not immoral at all. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give several rebuttals to the Prime Minister. Prime Minister talked about how using GMOs would help improve the nutritious needs of plant. Well, Prime Minister failed to realize the dangers of GMOs. GMOs could cause major disease that we don't even know about because, well, it is a new way of technologies. We don't know the long-term effects of GMOs, and it could lead to a lot of dangerous disease such as cancer and diabetes and all of those type of disease. Also, there are ways of putting down animals that are more humane and more morally right, because the way we put down an animal is can be improved and not just torture like what Prime Minister said. I would like to get into that in my argument. Now, the environmental effect of meat production is caused by the large scale of meat production. That is why we could argue that plant could have that environmental effect when the scale is as large as meat production. I would like to get into that in my argument. Okay, my first argument is the purpose of producing and consuming meat that we do today. There are purpose of producing and consuming meat. Just because, like I said, just because something is wrong doesn't mean that it is immoral. We give jobs to people. We give a way to poor people have nutritious food because there are people who are malnourished, who are starving, and they need a cheap and nutritious food, and that is meat. Meat is so much more nutritious, so much more nutrient packed than just plant. They need meat because it is cheaper, and that is why it is not immoral to produce and consume meat, and to ban all production and consumption is just completely wrong. Now, I would like to talk about how, with just like I said before, producing meat could be improved to a more humane and safe way. Today, in the status quo, it is already humane and safe. There is no torture or any type of things like what Prime Minister said. The way to put down an animal is to electrocute them and perhaps putting them in, well, we put them in a way that is quick and painless death, because that is how you put down an animal. You want them to die quickly before their blood freeze in their meat, because that would taste horrible. Now, I would like to get into my second argument, the economic, social, and environmental impact of plant production. Prime Minister failed to realize those effects of plant production. First, plant production is led by, well, fertilizer and pesticide. There are dangers of those two things. First, fertilizer. The danger of fertilizer is that we need a specific type of fertilizer, which is the that nitrogen type fertilizer. This type of fertilizer can only be get through mines from country like Russia that is in a war with Ukraine. Now we cannot get any fertilizer from Russia. The production of plant food will be disrupted, and that is a example of how dangerous and unreliable a plant production is. Because if we ban all production of meat and consumption of meat, we are in danger of, well, not being able to produce enough plant because we don't have enough fertilizer. And also the danger of, well, the danger of pesticide is still looming over us. It is still too dangerous to just put aside because the use of pesticide is rampant, and it is a large amount of pesticide used every day in the production of plant. We cannot just allow this type of production, this type of use of pesticide to increase even more, because that is what needed to, well, create a production of plant. And so with all of those facts, the price of plant-based food will rise, because you cannot just expect the need of more fertilizer and more pesticide will not increase the price of those plants. Prime Minister failed to realize that the price of plant will be more expensive instead of cheaper when we expand the production. That is why we strongly disagree with this motion. Now, I would like to get into several solutions. We need a balanced diet of meat and plant where both of those things could help our nutritious need. Those two things could cancel each other's price. Plant could make meat cheaper and meat could make plant cheaper. And also the poor people, the poor family who needs to feed their children a nutritious food could use meat as their main ingredient, because it is a more nutritious and cheaper way to produce a nutritious food. Now, the production of meat can also be improved to have less CO2 emission. That is why we strongly agree with the increase of technological advancement of meat production, because with just like technology like grain fat cattle, we can reduce the CO2 emission of meat production, because with grain feed animals, the CO2 emission of meat will reduce. That's why we strongly oppose this motion. That is all from me. Thank you.